Welcome to In Such a Time, conversations on Jewish life, leadership, and meaning. Each week, Rabbis Jonathan Jaffe and Leora Londy explore the moments, questions, and ideas that shape who we are and who we aspire to be. And now, for this week's conversation.
We are proud to share our high holiday sermons with our podcast audience. On Yom Kippur morning, Rabbi Londy spoke about the value of hope in Jewish tradition. Enjoy.
Friends, before we begin, I need to know, are any of you of the 3.6 million people who have signed up for Ancestry.com? If you are, raise your hand. There's more in the second morning crowd. I'm raising both hands as I have signed up for multiple accounts, multiple websites. During COVID-19, when so many of us felt unrooted, I felt a need to connect to my roots. Where did I come from? Who came before me? What languages did they speak? What kept them up at night? What drove them to leave home? What did they believe in? And you know what I discovered? My ancestral tapestry is complex. Poland, Hungary, Germany, Galicia, Ukraine. Some made it to North America, others to British Mandate Palestine. Many didn't make it at all. Some were assimilated, some religious Yiddish speakers from the old country. Some were dreamers and artists, and yes, some were even scoundrels. I come from it all, a Jewish mutt. After filtering through a lot of muck, I discovered something truly incredible. My digging revealed one relative in particular, my maternal great-grandmother's cousin, Naphtali. He was born in 1856. They, my great-grandmother and Naphtali, were from the same small town in Galicia, the town of Zolochev, present-day Ukraine, a town nicknamed the City of Poets. Naphtali was a complicated man, brilliant but restless, a polyglot, a wanderer, a poet who was revered and also ridiculed. He was an adventurer, journeyed through most of Europe, Turkey, Tehran, Bombay, and even made it to Palestine and the United States. He was intermarried and divorced before either was remotely acceptable. And he was a Zionist. His poems were beloved by the Chalutzim, the early pioneers of Israel. And yet, Theodor Herzl, the founder of Zionism, despised him and called him a vagabond. He was a personal secretary to British Christian Zionist diplomats and later an assistant to Russian generals. Naphtali could be amusing, but often wore out his welcome. He died penniless in a New York hospital due to illness from excessive drinking. He was interred at Mount Zion Cemetery in Queens, only to be reinterred in Har Menuchot in Jerusalem almost half a century later. And why am I telling you about my quirky cousin Naphtali this morning? Because his pen and his heart were the origins of the words that have shaped the Jewish spirit for generations. Naphtali was Naphtali Hertz Imber. In his 1886 poem, Tikvatenu, Our Hope, was the prototype for Hatikva, the hope that officially became the national anthem of Israel in 2004. Despite family lore calling him an outcast till this day, I'm so proud to be related to one of the most influential Jewish writers in modern time. Hatikva is not a victory song, rather an ode to longing, an expression that has propelled the Jewish people throughout the ages. I learned from going down a genealogical rabbit hole that not only do I come from a legacy of hope, but all of us do. It is woven into the DNA of the Jewish people. It is why we are still gathered as Jews in a synagogue in the 21st century. It is why we care so deeply about our people, our history, and our future, because we yearn for something that was yet to be, and we hoped and we built on it. This is the essence and the power of these words, an anthem of prophetic hope. The words of Hatikva say, Kol od balevav pnima, as long as in the heart, Nefesh Yehudi homia, the Jewish soul yearns. Ulefate mizrach kadima, and toward the eastern edges onward, Ein Letzion Sophia, and eye gazes toward Zion. Od lo avda tikvatenu, our hope is not yet lost. Hatikva bat shnot alpaim, the hope that is 2,000 years old. Liotam chovshi be'artzenu, to be a free nation in our land. Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim, the land of Zion, Jerusalem. The words of Hatikva tapped into an ancient ethos. They exuded resilience and became the anthem of not giving up on a dream. In fact, during the meeting of the Sixth Zionist Congress in 1903, Theodor Herzl proposed that instead of settling in the land of Israel, Jews should establish a Jewish colony in a territory of Uganda. Opponents to this idea, who still held out for Jews returning to their ancestral homeland in Israel, got up and sang in protest the Hatikva, our hope is not yet lost. And when British troops liberated the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in Germany 80 years ago, a British Army chaplain led hundreds of newly freed survivors in the Hatikva, our hope is not yet lost. The message is clear. We can and we will bring about better days. Hope is not a feeling we feel passively, it's an action. It's a verb. It's the lifeblood of our people. The late Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, the former chief rabbi of the UK, a philosopher, theologian, and personal hero of mine, explained the difference between optimism and hope in his book, Celebrating Life. One of the most important distinctions I have learned in the course of reflection on Jewish history is the difference between optimism and hope. Optimism is the belief that things will get better. Hope is the belief that together we can make things better. Optimism is passive. Hope is an active virtue. To be a Jew is to be an agent of hope in a world serially threatened by despair. Every ritual, every mitzvah, every syllable of the Jewish story, every element of Jewish law is a protest against escapism, resignation, or the blind acceptance of fate, end quote. We are the hoping people. So I ask you, where is our hope today? Can we as Jews and Americans still hold on to hope? Frankly, there are not many reasons to be hopeful at this moment. Israel is at war. It is in danger of becoming a pariah nation. The political rifts in Israel are dangerously high. The society is more fractured and fragile than at any other time since the state's creation. Many Israelis are leaving because living there is too difficult for a multitude of reasons. And when I talk about this, I want you to know that that's very personal. That's my story. The war in Gaza is a nightmare for all of us. Our brothers and sisters were murdered. There are still hostages being held. The army is forced into morally complicated situations, and Palestinian innocents are the horrible casualties of war. The war is about our survival as a nation, but what we have to do for our survival rattles the Jewish moral conscience. American support for Israel is falling. It's putting us Jews in the diaspora at risk. We cannot worship on Yom Kippur in a synagogue without fortifying ourselves with security. It takes a lot of faith to sing the words of Hatikva today, doesn't it? The political divide within our own Jewish community on how to navigate this tension is raw. It hurts. Yet Hatikva teaches us that our hope is not lost even when unity is bruised. It is an action that compels us to both support our Jewish family and uphold the moral sanctity of every life. It is an impossible task, but it is necessary to hold both of those messages side by side. We must choose to be the agents of change, the agents of hope that Rabbi Sacks calls us to be, not by being optimistic, but by being courageous, the ones who actively work to make things better for all humanity. When the Jews think about the coming of the Messiah, it's twofold. It's about the redemption of the Jewish people who are to become the shock troops of the redemption of the world. So let's now re-ask the question with a different hat on. Are we as Americans hopeful? We all sense that something is shifting in the United States. We hate to say it out loud, but we have lost our way. We are uncertain where we are going and who we even want to be. Democracy itself seems fragile. We have lost confidence in our own values and our history. Recently, a New York Times study noted that the most important issue facing Americans today, even above economy, was the divide between us. People expressed dismay that we have stopped being a United States, unable to listen to one another. Yet, even with that acute sense of fracture, the people interviewed still spoke in the plural. They spoke of hoping that we would overcome this fracture. They spoke of the deep desire not just to live side by side, but rather live together with mutual respect and with civility. That desire, that yearning to build a better future together is not just particular to us Jews, but Americans too hope for better days. In fact, in the early 20th century, American Reformed Jewish thinkers referred to the United States as the New Jerusalem because America was a place where Jewish ideals of justice, freedom, and equality could be lived out. How do we then reinvigorate our hope as Jews? The way that Jews have always affirmed hope is through the collective. Yom Kippur is the moment each year that we reweave the fabric of the Jewish people. Our very tradition is built on the belief that redemption is a communal project. We are in it together. In the times of the temple in Jerusalem, the Kohen HaGadol, the high priest, would enter the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies, and petition to God not just for his own sins, but purge the collective sins of the entire nation. The nation would atone each year not as individuals, but as a community, like we are doing here today. Last night, we heard the beautiful words and rendition of Kol Nidre. In Kol Nidre, we seek permission from the heavenly courts to pray with the Avaryanim, with the transgressors. The text states, Anu matirim litpalel im Avaryanim. Tonight, whoever you are, and whatever your year has been, we permit ourselves to pray together. This liturgy became communal practice during the Inquisition when Anusim, or crypto-Jews, snuck into synagogue on the night of Yom Kippur to pray that the forced vows that they took to survive would be nullified by God. In a piece written in the Jerusalem Post, it explains, on this most sacred night, the community declared, we embrace you, we pray with you, you are one of us. It is a confession of weakness wrapped in communal strength. When the congregation sings together, the individual no longer feels alone in failure. We stand as one body, admitting our fragility, forging each other, daring to hope that God will forgive us too, end quote. Only together, only in communal practice can we find redemption. Imagine what it would mean if all of us today really felt that we were part of one community, if we gave one another the benefit of the doubt, if we really believed in the notion of the Jewish people as being part of a Jewish family. Here at Bethel, I think that we've tapped into that ethos. We are a community that maintains civility, places brotherhood and sisterhood above all other values, and holds space for diversity of opinion. We are able to envision a future and work to achieve it. We like to be together, mostly, always. We gain strength from each other. What a blessing. And when I think about the hopelessness around us, I see Bethel in particular and Jewish communal life in general as beacons of light and unity in a world that doesn't want to seem to get along. We are certainly not perfect here, but let's celebrate that we are doing something right. Now to get back to my cousin Naphtali's words for a moment. In time of great uncertainty and darkness, when the very survival of the Jewish people was at stake, and when people could only dream of Jewish nationhood, Naphtali wrote a poem that became an anthem of hope, to hope. We also live in uncertain times, and it's always been the Jewish way to look forward. Our secret weapon has been to foresee a future and work to make that a reality. I wrote this sermon not really for you, no offense, but for me. I haven't been hopeful. By nature, I'm a worrier. The trap of being a worrier is that it can lead to the sin of apathy, a sense of powerlessness. I see so much in the world that feels too big to even address. But after beginning to discover my roots, I realized that I come from something bigger than myself. I am part of a legacy of people who didn't let adversity get to them, didn't let adversity defeat them. And as a parent and as a rabbi, I'm constantly thinking about the hope that I can create for the future. May it be your will, Adonai our God, creator of all beings, that you teach me to hope, that you open my eyes to the potential in all of us, that you expand my heart to see humanity in all of God's creatures, that you awaken in me that I am an agent of change, that you remind me that I am blessed to be a part of a people who are called upon to be a blessing to humanity. Let us never underestimate what we can accomplish together, even in the year 5786. We have a reason to be hopeful. May this Yom Kippur be restorative. May this year be propelled by our ability to be resilient and to embody hope. Od lo avda tikvatenu, we have not yet lost hope.
Thanks for joining us on In Such a Time. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. To learn more about Rabbis Jonathan Jaffe and Leora Londy, or to connect with Temple Bethel of Northern Westchester, visit bethelnw.org, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Temple Bethel NW. Thanks for listening.